A spectacular performance. Curry from half court. Sometimes, something looks like it's been there a while.
We are here, the 3 Points podcast, after a long break. Unfortunately, we have now recorded for 2 weekends. Technically 3, actually, because it's now Monday, but we're going to count this as the third weekend, and we're going to get it an episode out for you guys. It's a very special episode. All the gentlemen, 1, 2, and 3, the 3 Musketeers are back in town. I'm not going to say where, but I'll give a hint. We support the Warriors. Everyone's here for winter break, and there's a lot to talk about. Not many good things, but there is one good thing, the trade, which we will talk about later in the episode. So let's get started. We are currently, in the last 8 games since we last recorded, 2 for 6. We've lost 2 and 6. 2 and 6. We've won 2 games and we've lost 6. How do we feel about that? It's not even a Cope episode. Wes made a joke the other day. Oh, another Cope episode. No, it's not a Cope episode. For the loyal fans at home, you probably remember last season, Thomas, it was inspired from our co-host Thomas. We had many Cope episodes. Oh, come on, guys. At least we didn't blow a 14-point lead. It was just all Cope. We sucked. But at least this time, we all accept we suck.
Not really.
2 for 6.
So what do you mean we all accept we suck?
All right, go ahead. That's a perfect segue to explain why you don't think we suck.
Mostly it's just like, now that we've made the Schröder trade, how can you say we suck without seeing Schröder on the court?
Over the sample size of the last 8 games. We're talking about 2 for 6, right? Was Schröder in the 2 for 6 games?
Yeah, he wasn't with 2 and 6. But, he wasn't, but, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what he does. Maybe he could elevate this team.
Right. All right. Well, so he doesn't think we did that bad in the last 2 and 6, in the last 8 games. How do you feel, Wes? Do you think we did good?
No, definitely it's kind of obviously like a lot of close games that we lost there, which is kind of the story of the Warriors the past few years. So I don't know. I feel like before that 2 and 6 stretch, we were kind of winning a lot of those closer games. So it's kind of maybe it's just like a fluke of losing these close games. So like the Houston game was close, the Nuggets game was close. Let's see what else was close. Timberwolves,
the
Rockets was I already said the Rockets, but the other Timberwolves game that was only lost by 8.
Even the Suns game was kind of close.
Yeah, the Suns game was close. Mavericks game it was a 10-point loss, but it still felt close at times.
Yeah, at times it did. That is true. Thomas, so you said we don't suck. So what have you liked about the Warriors in the last 8 games?
Not that much. Not that much.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Steph has been in not like a true slump, but he has not been playing up to his standards generally.
Wiggins has looked pretty all right, though.
Wiggins is back, which is nice. Wiggins is genuinely, he's having his best season since 2022. This is a lot of this stuff we've talked about in previous episodes. Wiggins is finally showing the version of himself that he showed in 2022 when he was an all-star and one of the better players on a championship team. Steph is having, it's to say it's a down year is probably inaccurate. He's just getting older, and this is probably the version of him that we're going to see going forward. He's no longer going to be able to average an efficient 30 points. He's probably going to be down closer to 25. Still on great efficiency because he's Steph, but he's carrying the offense even less than he has in previous years. Wiggins is making up for it a little bit, but it's often not been enough because, as we can all attest, the offense has looked stagnant. It's looked ineffective. It's looked stale. Buddy Hield, after an incredibly hot start, has regressed heavily. Although, again, to say it's regression is probably inaccurate because, after all, it's not like he's been an all-star. The past 5 years. This is kind of the guy that he's been. Generally, he has hot and cold stretches. I still think that he fits well within the motion offense, and he'll probably have another incredible hot stretch at some point during the season. But you're not going to be able to count on that production from him. Day in, day out, which is kind of what you need because. If you remember, when we were really winning, when we were the first seed, we were basically counting on him to be the third option on the team, which he's not going to be. And I was talking about this in the car earlier. Kuminga and Pods are both worse than they were last year, and they're both like, was Kuminga's 22 or 23?
It's like his 4th season, right?
Pods is 22.
Yeah,
they're both like 22, 23. Pretty sad and unfortunate to see them regress at that young of an age. I think it's slightly different things for both of them. I think with Pods, it's mostly just his jumper. He's a guard. He's not a big guy. He plays like a guard. He is a guard, and guards need jumpers in the modern NBA. I know, great.
He plays like a guard. He is a guard. And
The
he
point-
does
okay,
play like a
the
guard.
point being made, if you're a guard without a jumper in the market, you better be pretty special as a distributor, which he's not really, or pretty special as a slasher, which he's not really. He kind of just does all these little things, but at a certain point, it's just not enough to make up for the fact that the dude is a complete non-factor as a scorer, at least as it stands right now. And that all starts and ends and begins with the fact that his jumper is completely broken. Kuminga, on the other hand, it's a lot of the same stuff we were seeing the past seasons. It just feels like it's somehow gotten even worse instead of getting better. The you just pulled up his stats. He has had a decent past few games, but if you look at the shots he's
33
taking,
against the Rockets.
he's chucking up some. He's had a 6-15, an 8-20 in there, 7-16 for a guy who lives around the rim. That's not exactly great, and that kind of matches with the eye test where it's just a lot of out of control play, a lot of tough shots, a lot of forced shots. And often when you say guys forced shots, you're thinking of like a Jalen Green, right, who's like taking an ISO, facing up, hitting like a tough 15 step back. But that's not what Kuminga does. It's more just driving in and then not having the wherewithal to kick out and forcing up something ridiculous at the rim. Um, and yeah, so all things considered, I think the Warriors' struggles really can be traced back primarily to those two guys not doing what they're supposed to do, not playing to the level that they were supposed to. And like I said earlier, hopefully Schroeder can come in and fix some stuff because
I mean,
it's looking pretty rough.
do you think them playing worse is a matter? Like my dad said that this might be the reason that both of them are playing worse is because both of them kind of had their best seasons last year. Like Pollard as a rookie was like pretty good. Kuminga, that was like his first season where he kind of had like a more major role in the offense. Do you think it's like them kind of playing worse? Do you think it's more of a matter of like teams know these guys now? They're on the scouting report. Like we're gonna watch out for Kuminga and Pods and try to limit them as much as possible. Or do you think it's just like actual regression?
I'm going to chime in and tackle that first. I don't think that's entirely applicable. And in general, basketball, that just reminded me of,
In general.
in general, that's for the fans at home. Thomas does not get that joke. I don't know why he's laughing. When we were in community college, there was a math professor video I was watching, and he was Indian. I'm brown, so I could imitate his accent. He went in general, so that's where the joke came from. Anyway, so in general in basketball, I personally feel, at least compared to other sports, knowing a person's game is not as applicable. What do I mean by that? In cricket, for example, you know that, okay, if a guy's going to bowl, for example, or he's going to bat, you know that he relies heavily on a specific type of shot. For example, let's say it's like a cover drive. You know that that's like his favorite shot. So make sure do not pitch the ball in that area. Now, obviously in basketball, there's strength and weakness. Like, for example, Kuminga's is driving to the rim, right? And you could be like, okay, try to limit that. But there's so many different variables to driving to the rim that is not as simple as just going straight and going to the rim. That's for Kuminga. So even if you could say that, for Kuminga, they figured out his game, I still think there's so many different aspects to basketball. There's screens, there's this, there's that. It's not as cut and dry as like in cricket, a shot where you just avoid pitching it on that one specific area on the pitch.
I think it's just more they're like cognizant of like, okay, Kuminga is more of a threat now than
right.
Like he's just a better player than he ever
was.
So.
But as for Pods, what the reason why he can't hit a shot.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's like the Ben Simmons syndrome, right? Like if you do not need to cover a guy at the three, it gives them so little space to do anything because they're like, all right, we could just back up, and then I could like kind of have some space and not worry about him driving by me, blowing past me. And that kind of limits his game. He's averaging right now like 20-something% from the three, as compared to last season's
38 probably
38.5, which is very much solid 3-point percentage. So I don't think that's entirely applicable that they figured out their game. Yeah, to some degree that could be applicable to Kuminga, but again, I just think there's so many different nuances to basketball that it's not as simple as, oh, we figured out his game.
Not like figured out his game, but like at some point Steph became like not just like a regular player, and he became like an all-star that like he was basically unguardable. Like what he does is kind of not like completely unguardable, but like sometimes he just beats you no matter what. And like at a certain point you game plan around him because he's like the focal point of the offense. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Kuminga is that to our offense. Like
for sure.
He can be unguardable at times, but now teams are kind of honing in on that and trying to like quiet him as much as possible. And that's why like when teams try to guard the Warriors, they don't try to guard like our bench players. They try to guard Steph.
100%.
When we had KD, they try to guard KD, Clay. They worried about these guys specifically because they are the problem. Kuminga is now a problem. Like I think you're right about Pods. It doesn't really apply to Pods because he's kind of just missing shots. Like we kind
Yeah.
of see him like he's shooting 20% on good looks. Like
Yeah,
not like
yeah. They're wide open. A
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
these shots are
Most of
wide
the time
open.
they're wide open. So Pods, I don't really think it's a matter of like, oh, they're honing in on him. But Kaminga, I think it's more like the way they guard him now, they sag off on
Yeah.
him a lot. So that's why like sometimes he can be like shoot pretty well from the 3-point line, but like it's pretty volatile because
Oh, for sure.
it's kind of just up to like how good he can shoot it.
Yeah.
'Cause the looks he's getting from three
Yeah.
are pretty open
I mean,
for the most part.
I mean, they're always open.
Yeah.
Because guys just won't. They
I
won't.
wouldn't say they're always open because
I mean-
he's been trying to integrate a little bit of a step back three. So remember like that one game he was
Bro.
like he shot like 5 threes
Yeah.
without even going for one basket at the ring. We were like, damn, this is the new Kuminga, Michael Porter Jr. Kuminga. But to your point, that I do think that it's more that he cannot play make. That they've quote
can't.
unquote figured out his game.
Yeah.
So what do I mean by that?
Yeah.
Is they can sag off, as Wes was saying, but since he can't pass the rock, it's very 1D. So it's not that they've more figured out his game, it's more that he hasn't flourished from what he's already
Let's
been
They
good
made
at.
they made the choice to like sag off him, not to respect his shooting, not respect his passing.
Well, yeah, the
Start
thing is,
certain
it's
way.
not just the sagging up. It's more so they collapse on him so aggressively because they know that he's going to go to the rim, and he can't do anything about it. It reminds me a lot of like I was complaining about this in the Timberwolves series last year, not against the Warriors, but it was just I forget. Was it against the Mavs? Right? Yeah, when they lost. Yeah, like Ant, they were doing the same thing to Ant. Like obviously, Ant is not as bad a playmaker as Kuminga is, but it's the same thing where if you have a guy who's such a dominant slasher that you know he's going to be able to get past his man consistently. If he's a limited passer, you can make up for that by just converging around him at the rim and forcing him into these really awkward, tough finishes, which he's not going to be able to make. And also, the other thing with Kuminga is like, for as good of a slasher as he is at getting to the basket, getting past his man, he's still not a great finisher.
Yeah.
He lacks the touch. So if you converge on him, if you collapse on him, not only is he not going to be able to pass the ball out, or is he not willing to pass the ball out,
He's gonna try to finish.
he's going to
something.
finish, and he's not going to be able.
Pause.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to do it, and that's why I don't like watching him play. Really, it's like he's not a fun player to watch play because he does the same thing over and over, and you just have to hope like, okay, this like awkward layup is gonna
Yeah, and every
find
now and
its way
then
in.
like there's like a nice finish where like somehow he makes it over the top of like
Yeah.
somebody, but it's like 90% of the time that's getting packed and then it's going the other way, or he's just like missing a layup because his touch is not as refined as like other slashers down at the rim.
To be fair to Kuminga though, I personally do enjoy watching his game because I think it's like kind of explosive. It's like Russell Westbrook-esque in 2016 where you just kind of run and blow by people and go for a crazy dunk or a
Bro, I
layup
saw-
or acrobatic lay.
I saw Westbrook hitting like 30-foot step backs that season.
Absolutely. He had a great jumper. But another thing I would like to say is that he's not as efficient from his field goal as we're saying. He's around 45%.
You're saying Kuminga? Oh no, I mean that's the problem, Doug.
Yeah. That wait, sorry.
That's not that good for.
It's
what
not
the
that,
team is.
especially because he's in the paint.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
exactly.
Like you'd expect for somebody who's such a slasher, because again, when you watch the game, you're like, dude, this guy can get to the basket. That's the one thing you notice. He jumps off. He can get to the basket like at will. Like you put good defenders on him, he's still gonna blow by them because he's that athletic. So that's when the field goal percentage is that low. Despite that, like there's a serious problem.
Yeah,
there.
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah,
And
'cause
wait, what is Giannis's? Who's like
that is a great question.
like?
It's gonna be above 60. I know that.
And I wonder like if Giannis like
Sorry.
over time he like gradually
Is that
went from.
64?
62%.
Yeah.
That's really.
And
But he probably like the thing about him is he probably over the years like did his
yeah,
yes I
you
mean
guys hit the nail on the head. Yeah, his
That's just
first
something you get
season
better
was
at.
42%, then 49, and then 50, and then onward.
because he was
Just
probably
up and up
naturally
and
good
up.
at getting to the rim like Kuminga is, but
Yeah.
then you just have to like fine tune the smaller things that like make you a better finisher.
I actually really like that.
Finishing
I really like that
contact.
point. That's a really, really good point. Because to some degree, Giannis and Kuminga have similar games.
Yeah.
Obviously, Giannis is like insanely better, but
worse.
huh?
Not just-
I said much worse. So, but it's kind of refreshing to see that his field goal wasn't as elite as it is now. Obviously, 62% is amazing.
But I don't think this kind of thing is just going to get better with time. Obviously Giannis worked really hard to like get to where he is. It's not just going to like you're naturally going to go from 40% to 45 to 55
Yeah.
in like a natural progression. So that's where like Kuminga, I don't know, like do you trust that he's gonna work on these things? Because like another thing my dad pointed out is like with his free throws, like that's something you can like your free throws is kind of something that shows your work ethic. Like nobody's good at everything. Like Steph is as good as he is. He has weaknesses. Like he's not a good like slasher downhill, but Kuminga is. But I think like free throws are something that anybody can really be good at, unless they're like kind of like Shaq, where their hands are just like too big. But even then, like there's 7-footers that are good free throw shooters, so it does show like how good you are at like kind of working in the gym and like spending the hours to kind of refine your game. Because
Oh my God, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
As you were kind of making that free throw,
what was
your
his like
dad made
last
the free
year?
throw point.
What
We
was
could
his last
check.
year? Because it was
By the way,
not-
just on a related note, so his field goal percentage of 45 is his worst of his career by far. He's never been below 50% before, and now he's sitting at 45. And so I think actually that kind of speaks to like what the point Wes is making, where it's like
70%,
Teams
like
have
that's
learned.
solid. Like for him,
teams have learned how to funnel him into the paint and force bad shots out of him. Like that's clearly what they know how to do
Yeah,
that.
actually, now that we've kind of looked into it a little bit
by the way, we found that his free throw percentage is 58%
for this season, which
Yeah.
is
Career
abysmal.
worst, yeah.
It's abysmal.
Like
It
basically
was
the rest of his
75% last
percentages.
year.
I think that's now that we kind of looked into it a little bit more, I think it's a combination of two
And they're
things.
probably not too scared of fouling him either, because it's like, oh, you're shooting.
Literally,
Yeah.
I think it's okay. I think the issue with Kuminga, so Pods is definitely how they figured him out because he's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
not playing good. I think for
He's too
Kuminga,
smart. He's too smart to
he's
get figured out.
Too smart. The thing about Kuminga is that they have figured out his strengths from film, and on the scouting board, it's definitely like do this to Kuminga, force him into these tough, awkward shots. However, the second part of the issue is that he has not advanced his game to overcome these basically overcome these teams trying to suffocate him
Yeah.
into a specific kind of way, right? Elite players grow above these things. They improve upon that. Kuminga clearly has not. This is statistically, he's been struggling a lot this season. Efficiency, free throw percentage, true shooting percentage. It's actually very disappointing. And I think Thomas brought a really great point. Him and Pods having a bad season has been really unfortunate. This all started with me asking Thomas what he felt about the season, and then I asked you, "Is this how we got here?" Did you talk about how you were feeling overall? Yeah, I think just piggybacking off these guys, defense really hasn't been the issue at all. We're right now, I think, sixth in the league for defensively. Offensively, we're like
Even like Pog and
14th.
Kuminga, like for as bad as they're playing offensively, like defensively, they're
Yes. For the fans at home, about a week or two ago, Thomas and I were having a discussion about Pod's defensive capabilities and such. In my opinion,
Wasn't that on the podcast?
no.
I don't think it
Oh,
was.
was it?
I think it was just while we were watching.
Never mind.
We were playing against the Thunder, I think.
Okay.
We talked with Cole about that.
We did talk to Cole.
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Yes, on the way to the game, the
Exactly.
football game. I'm not gonna say which school's football game.
Yeah.
Washington State,
Let's
of
just say it
course.
was a happy ending.
Yeah, well, was it a happy ending? Oh yeah, Cole. Wait,
Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Okay.
We went to the University of Michigan versus Ohio game where they
Yeah.
started fighting.
Yeah, that was crazy, guy.
Crazy game. We were on the field.
Yeah.
So I forgot how I got here, but yeah, in my opinion, I definitely think Pods is if I were to give him out of 10 rating, like a 7.2 to 7.4 rating. I think he's solid. He has a lot of some kind of not so great plays, but I think overall he's there. Like he's a body, he's there. He's an annoying defender. Kuminga, I would give like a 6.6, 6.8. Not as annoying as a defender as Pods, in my opinion.
I mean, Kuminga's a better defender.
Kuminga's
Just
the better
like,
defender.
but
Clearly.
Kuminga
It's
definitely
not even a
he loses
conversation.
focus a lot of the time and kind of.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think maybe perhaps sometimes I overlooked like the grittiness
So
or
does
kind of
Pods,
like the
too.
pesteriness. But I feel like Pods is like, I don't know how to describe it. Like,
He has
there's
quick
something about
hands.
him.
He has quick hands. I mean, that shows up. You notice that when watching him.
I think also because
That's
his,
his, like,
his
biggest
unironically his ball IQ is better than.
Well, of course, I mean, definitely.
So that kind of bleeds into defensive IQ as well. Not even to be like, oh, he's white, his IQ is better. But no, even his DIQ pause is better, I think.
I think so.
Perhaps that kind of makes it seem like he's a better defender. I'd like to kind of, but Kuminga is better equipped to be a better defender, which we've said on the pod many times. But it's actually interesting. So Thomas, you were like really adamant that like Kuminga is by far a better defender. Like, is there like by stats or is it a visual eye test? Because I mean,
but
I
eye test. I mean, you watch Kuminga gets put consistently when watching the games. Kuminga gets put on the other team's best wing player. Usually they rotate. They rotate him and Wiggins. That's who's going to be playing. That's who's going to be guarding the other team's best wing player. And he generally does a good job. Now he certainly misses rotations a lot, and that's what you're talking about, like with the ball IQ. Pods is probably not going to get caught missing rotations, but what Pods is going to do is give up easy buckets to guys who are bodying him and who are blowing by him because he doesn't have the tools to guard them. And that's frustrating. It's not something he can do a ton about. And that's why defense, more than anything in the NBA, is so much about the profile of a player, their athleticism, their strength, their body type, their build, all of that. Like, you have to be equipped to be a good defender to be a good defender. There are so few. There's maybe one or two examples of, like, Chris Paul's a famous example where he's like supposedly like he's too short, right? Too small to be a good defender, and then he is anyways. But even then, like, I know I've seen like nerds on NBA Twitter point out his defense was never actually that great, but he always had big steals numbers, and he was obviously, I mean, he's CB3, so he took it seriously, and he played with a lot of tenaciousness and tenacity. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. That's a bad mistake by me. Played with a lot of tenacity, and so he was able to make up for it. So, like, yeah, you can like make up for it a bit, but there's just always going to be a big gap between somebody like Kaminga, who is just physically like built in a lab to be an NBA wing defender, and somebody like Pods, who is consistently going to be outmatched in terms of size and strength by the guys that he's matching up against. And even again, when you watch the games, you see this so often. Pods, he gets, a guy gives him a little chicken wing, moves him out of the way, guy finishes over him, guy blows by him. Like, it's all this little stuff where it's not like he's not trying, and it's not like he's quote unquote messing up. Whereas Kaminga, you'll literally see him like he's supposed to be rotating and he's just standing somewhere else, and the guy gets a wide open layup. But those individual plays, they don't make up for the fact that on a play to play basis, there's no comparison between them. One of them is going to be able to lock up dudes, and the other is just not. And that's kind of the unfortunate truth to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said. I also think like the reason Pod's being like not as good of a defender as Kuminga is we have a pretty solid team defense, so it's pretty easy to cover up like bad patches. Like we have a lot of solid defenders. Like obviously it starts with Draymond, but then like Moody,
Anderson,
Kyle Anderson, Lindy Waters is an underrated defender. He's so damn nice. Like he gets bullied some, like he'll get bullied by like Luka probably, but like for the vast majority of the league, he's like a really solid, nice defender. So I think like Pod's mistakes can be like him being a small defender be kind of covered up by being surrounded by really good defenders. So I think that's kind of like the other thing where like his defensive, like what is it like, or being a poor defender is not as highlighted as Kuminga getting lost sometimes, because that's being part of a good defense is also rotating properly. So Kuminga not being the best at that can kind of like highlight him in a bad light. So I mean but I just think like Kuminga is just like by far the better defender. Like it's kind of like Wiggins. He's not as good as rotating as Wiggins, but him and Wiggins have the similar profile where like you're comfortable putting them on most like lead guards or lead wing lead wing players in the NBA. So
yeah, and I think that kind of covers the last 8 games pretty solidly. Like I said, if things had carried on like this with our current squad, definitely not a championship team at all. We were the first seed for a little bit, then hover around 2 to 4 seed. Now we're currently the 7th seed. So it's a refreshing thing to see. Now we'll shift on to the trade that Mike Dunleavy, he made one move.
cooked.
Honestly, I mean, before we even dive in and
Crazy
talk about
trade.
what we think about it, I think it was great that he did a trade one, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not the only trade. I would like to like.
I don't think it is.
It should not be. I don't think it should be. And I guess now we kind of open the floor to how we feel. So first off, let's give it a rating out of 10.
Or grade. I like grade.
But we gotta put our own 3 points podcast twist to it. We gotta do our system. You know what I mean? No whole no whole numbers,
I'll
no
give
halves.
both. I'll give both then.
All right, let's do both. All right. So what do you think overall? Just as you know, we've kind of let the trade marinate.
Value wise, I'm gonna give it like a 8,
Okay.
like a B plus.
Respect.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think we got pretty good value out of it.
All right, Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, I would give it like just a straight up an A. It's that good. It's perfect. It's the perfect trade. I mean, we got so just
For
to
me,
like
it's hard
put
to
it,
give it like an A because I want to see how it plays out.
just like
But
just like
like
to put it
value
like,
wise,
just like to put it into context, we got literally we traded D'Anthony Melton, who's empty salary. He is
Yeah.
not going to play again this year. And 2 seconds for Dennis Schroeder, a guy who's averaging like 18 and 7 this year, basically on decent efficiency. I mean, Schroeder. One of his problems is he's never had a phenomenal efficiency, and part of it is because he's one of those guys who likes to run up a high usage rate without necessarily being the quality of player who deserves it. But I mean, again, 18 and 7 or 18 and 6, either one, it's not nothing. And to get a guy like that for 2 second-round picks, because again, Anthony Melton, that's just that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. I just from a pure like value standpoint, there's you couldn't beat that. There's very few trades, very few guys averaging that are gonna go for 2 seconds. And it's not like Dennis Schroeder is like a pure empty stats guy. He's played on winning teams before. He was on the Lakers team. Was he on the Lakers team that won the championship?
No, he was on the Lakers team that beat us.
He was on the Lakers team that beat. Yeah, I mean,
not a championship.
That's a winning team. Yeah, it's a second.
Yeah, I mean, he played on the Celtics. They didn't win though, but
yeah.
I thought he
remember
opted out or whatever.
He was on
the Celtics for a year. I thought
he was on those Hawks teams, like those
teams
with Horford and stuff.
Yeah,
he was for like the sixth, fifth season.
So that meme came right where his hairline that one.
Oh man.
So you said A, so what, like 9.3 to 9.6 range?
Yeah, something like that. Also, you got to give a shout out to the Germany team. Like, again, that's not the role he's going to be playing on the Warriors, but like he can play winning basketball. You know, he's
One of the things I did want to bring up, like, what do you guys think of him having a pretty, not like a high usage rate, but like bringing the ball up the floor like a lot of the time? Because me and my dad were saying like it actually like. One of Steph's like biggest roles right now is bringing the ball up the floor, and that's really not him at his best. Like Steph is expending so much energy, like bringing up the ball up the floor, like through full court press, through double teams, and that's really not Steph. And then he's too tired to like really facilitate the offense, like moving off ball. Not that he doesn't do it, but it's just like you can tell he's not doing it to the best of his ability. But if we have Dennis Schroeder, kind of like he would probably enjoy doing that, like bring the ball up the floor every now and then, and just like have Steph be moving off ball. I think that would be like. That's why I like the trade really a lot. I think it's gonna be a good fit.
That's exactly what I want to talk about because he's like a true floor general. He's like one of the.
I mean, he did with Germany.
He did it with Germany. I mean, he's done it with the Nets. Like in the years that he's been there, he's like he's a throwback kind of point guard. He wants the ball in his hands. He wants to be directing the flow of the offense, and he wants to be initiating the attack. He wants to do drive and kick stuff where he's beating his man off the dribble, getting the ball. And unlike Kuminga, we were ragging on earlier, or I was ragging on. He is a beautiful drive and kick guy. He will always find those kickouts. That's what he's really good at.
He did it to us. Like I think we played him.
Yeah, he had.
They freaking cooked us.
Yeah,
that was. Cam Thomas was out of the game for a lot of that.
Yeah, what do you have against us?
31.
31-7. Yeah.
Cooked us.
He's like if you're talking about like because what's the complaints? I mean they've been going on for like 3 seasons now. So like we all know them. Don't have a second option. Don't have a second guy you can create. Don't have a second guy who can bring the ball. Like he's that guy. Is he like the S tier of that guy? No, he's more like the B tier of that guy. But he is somebody who absolutely should be playing alongside Steph because to maximize what Steph does off the ball. And B, he's immediately going to be minimum the third best ball handler on our team, depending on what you think of Draymond. I love Draymond with the ball. Like obviously he kind of runs up those turnovers, but there's a reason. Like he's such a creative passer. I'm comfortable with him with the ball, but behind Steph and behind Draymond, he's immediately going to become the third best guy with the ball. And so that's huge. It's really what we needed. I'm very, very high on this trade.
Another thing, like I think what we lost with D'Anthony Melton is like not just like his incredible defense, but he was a really solid ball handler for us. So, like I remember in that OKC game that I saw live, like he was like a huge part of that win, and he was able to bring the ball up the floor like a lot of the time, and you're comfortable with that. Dennis Schroeder, you kind of get that same vibe of like comfortability.
Absolutely. I personally thought the rating I'm gonna give it is like I think A is perfect. It's literally beautiful. There's no. Like it's an A. So, but for me, it's like a high A. I wouldn't say quite an A plus because I feel like an A plus is like a scam trade where you get like a like where you get something you didn't deserve out of it. Yeah, something like that. I think it's a good A. A pluses are generally 98%. So I'm gonna go with my rating. It's like a 9.7. It's pretty damn near an A plus. Thomas hit the nail on the head. Empty salary for 2 second-round picks. Second-round picks, which 99% of the time don't amount to anything. Although Draymond Green, he's for the dude who drafted in the second round, but doesn't mean much. Doesn't mean jack. And for me, the biggest thing is like it's just like a fresh breath that we'll finally have someone who could be that second option, which we've been crying about for literally 2 seasons. 2023, 2024, and then now this is the 2025 season. We've been literally crying that, we don't have a second scorer. And we needed Wiggins to be that. Then we needed, Poole was supposed to be that. Wiggins was supposed to consistently be that. They both faltered. Clay was supposed to potentially be that in those last 2 seasons. They weren't. So it's just been Steph and literally the rest of the nobodies. Not to say they're nobodies, but rest of the nobodies in consistent offensive production.
Mm-hmm.
And Schroeder, he's like quote unquote in his prime. He's 31 years old. So this is when you expect him to ball out, hoop out. He is small. He is a little bit smaller. So does he help with the kind of the defensive issues? I don't know how he is defensively.
Effort, right?
He's probably not that great.
He's to my knowledge, he's basically the definition of average. Like you're not going to count on him to lock anybody up, but he's not like one of the he's not a Jordan Poole. He's not a guy with a reputation for being a cone. It's more like, hey, look, he knows what to do.
You know what you're gonna get with him.
It's kind of like baseball. Like he's small, but like
you
kind of understand that he gives that.
He's another one of those guys who plays maybe even like Pods. Like he's tenacious. He has quick hands. He's gonna make some highlight plays where some nice steals. But all in all, like he's you put an elite guard on him, he's probably gonna get torched a little bit. But like that's not what you're bringing him to do.
Absolutely. Like I said, you need the second half, and it was a pleasant surprise to me to find out how he was also a productive playmaker. Because every time I watched him, I didn't pick up on the playmaking. I more picked up on that he could get to a spot. He could take a shot. He's passionate. He's talking trash. He's into the game. He wants to win. He wants to win. And ever since he cooked the U.S. in the FIBA thing, I don't know if you guys remember. I sent a YouTube short of like it was like a remix of Schroeder cooking the U.S. Olympics in FIBA. So I'm a fan of it. It's a 9.7. It's a great trade. What do you guys think that logic for the Nets were? Just like the second round.
He's expiring salary, so teams
right
like expiring. I mean,
he's gonna be a free agent.
He's gonna be a free agent next season, which always.
Oh wait, this is like his last year of his contract.
I'm pretty certain, and that's always gonna be a massive hit on a player's value, especially a guy who's 31. Like giving him a long-term deal. Let me. Hopefully, I wasn't.
The Warriors acquire.
Yep, expiring 30. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
spot on. Obviously, teams usually don't want to acquire guys like that because then you're responsible for giving them an extension, or you let them walk and then you basically traded all that for 1 year. But in this case, you didn't trade all that because you only gave 2 second-round picks.
And Milton's contract is also expiring.
That's probably also what the Nets are thinking. Look, this contract now it goes off the books. We get a free 2 second-round picks. We're not winning anything anyways. Maybe there was a little bit of a bidding war going on, but probably nobody was like pounding the table to get in a Schroeder on their team, except for maybe the Warriors because we just happen to kind of really need a player like that. So, yeah, I mean, all things considered, though, I think maybe even going after him this early before the trade deadline might have helped because there wasn't that much of a bidding war versus a few months from now. And
well, here's what I am thinking about the trade this early on.
Now the prices of everyone goes up. I think.
Yeah, literally because everyone is. It's kind of like. Just like everyone is what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, like it's kind of it's like FOMO, right? You don't want to hit that FOMO, right? The market's closing, you're like, oh shoot. You know what I mean? So exactly. So what I will say though, I personally take that Dunleavy doing the trade so early on, 2 things. It could be that the market is tough. So other big plays and moves are not looking super likely. So he wanted to get this quick one and see how it pans out. Let's say Schroeder comes and then we bounce back and become really great again and potential championship contenders, which I don't think so by this one trade we're going to be. He can kind of take a chill. Or if it doesn't grow, like we improve, but it's not that crazy, he has to be back in the market trying to cook something up. Do you guys think that we are going to cook another trade up before the deadline?
I think so, and I think we have to. Like you said, I don't think this is moving us enough to. I think this kind of puts us back in the playoff mix, but not championship contender.
Thomas?
I mean, not to be a broken record, but I mean, first off, yes, and I think if it's somebody's going to be going, it's going to have to be one of Pods or Kuminga. I think they're just such natural targets. Like they're both having down years. They're both really young. They're both under 24. They're the kind of guys. I think most teams. I mean, yes, their value is going to be down compared to last year, but there's going to be teams who think that they can make something out of them still. There's going to be teams who they're just not. They don't care about winning this year, so they don't really. I mean, okay, they're having a down year, whatever. Like we're not winning anything anyways. I think, and we still have basically our entire treasure trove of first-round picks going forward. You get one of them, maybe even both of them. Attach, I forget who has the biggest salary that's not Wiggins, Dre, or Steph. It was Melton, but now I think it's probably like GP2 or Looney or somebody. Attach one of those guys to them and see if you can't get like a mid-level type dude with a first-round pick, you know?
Both Kuminga, Pods, and
well, let me back up. Let me not ramble on too much. But here's the problem: The Warriors have 3 big salary players on their roster. They're Wiggins, Dre, and
It could be
Steph.
4. We got like Laurie Marketing.
Okay, but that's the problem. We cannot go after those guys.
LeBron James.
The Warriors have put themselves financially in a little bit of a bind
Because of the cap rate. And the,
because of this. The second
apron.
apron. No, not just even that. It's just you've always needed to match salary. That's just the standard NBA rule. If you're going to make a trade, the salaries have to match so that one team doesn't end up way over and one team doesn't end up way under, right?
Yeah.
The Warriors cannot match salaries with a lot of big name players without sending one of Wiggins, Dre, or Steph. Now, Dre and Steph off the table. Wiggins, who, I mean, you see his stats right in front of you, having his best season since 2022, clearly one of, if not...
I think he's part of a championship.
He's part of a championship. I mean, I would say clearly the third best player on the Warriors, right?
Yeah.
Part of the best 3 players on the Warriors currently. I mean, you don't want to let him go along with
a lot of things.
It shakes up so many things, along with multiple second-round picks, because if you're going after one of those big guys, they're going to want, because Wiggins is already getting old, they're going to want Wiggins plus multiple first-round picks, plus maybe even another like minimum like role player type dude. Like, do we want to do that? I just think Wiggins is playing his value up so high that those types of trades come off the table. Because if you remember early, like before the season, every like Twitter account, YouTuber, Wiggins plus this for Jimmy Butler, Wiggins plus for Laurie Marketing. But like, do we really want to do that now? No. I mean, I'm looking at you guys.
Yeah, the thing is that I'm really worried about his consistency. That's what really kind of worries me is that, okay, he's playing consistent right now, but what says that in 3 months he doesn't fall off, or in the playoffs he falls off, or the next season? It's just like, it's like a 3-year cycle. 2022 he played really good. 23, 24 he sucked. 2025 he's playing good. 6 and 7 he sucked. So that's what worries me a little bit. Albeit, he's playing well. He's doing his role. He's doing what we need. And with Schröder on the roster, now you got basically 3 solid, consistent scorers in Steph, Schröder, and Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I really do think we need to trade Pods and Kuminga.
Both?
Like, if we could package them both together for a really nice, great pick, because they're both young, they both have solid ceilings. Maybe you get something nice. Because I'm kind of sold on the whole, you got to win with Steph now. I'm solely as I've been retracing it, because every young guy that we've kind of bought stock in, they haven't been playing that great. And then you start thinking, like,
that's the big problem, really.
You kind of start thinking, damn, we have Steph right now.
In these past 2 seasons, we had him.
Literally.
And we're trying to, like, kind of
make something together. We thought Wiseman, Poole, was going to be the answer.
Poole kind of panned out.
He did, but he was more like long-term future, right? Like, he was 22 when we won the chip. So you're thinking, damn, this guy at 28? Oh, baby, he could lead us to another chip. Poole, Wiggins, Kuminga, Pods, Wiseman. It's like every time we buy stock into a player, we're like, oh, maybe in the future that core could be looking kind of nasty. Then it's like, no.
Moody's the one guy that like was a young guy, and he's now a productive part of our.
He's a productive part, but also to be fair to him though, we never gave him as much value as Pods, Kuminga, Wiseman. They will be, the leaders of this team, or like all-star ceiling. He's always been a role player on a championship contending team at the best. So I think we really just gotta
go all in.
Cut ties with him, and you just gotta go for the Steph.
Yeah. Because
even he's regressed unfortunately this season. Not much from like his playmaking aspect and such, but I mean, like, how many points do you guys know off the top of your head, or how many do you think? If you guys know, don't say anything. Let the other person guess.
I don't know. I'm gonna say like 25.
I would guess 25 as well, but is that just accurate? I feel like that's about accurate.
It's 22.8.
Woo!
Yeah, and it went up a little bit. It was actually 22 flat earlier.
Interesting.
So he's actually regressed heavily in the points. He was like 28 points last season.
Yeah.
So that is, and we could fact check it. I have it right here just in case. 22.9. Yeah,
that says 34.6. Okay, so there goes that argument.
Yeah. So it's from 3, 42%. His field goal 45. He's also a little bit inefficient this season.
That's actually really interesting because like I can't I would like to say like that matches the eye test, but the fact that he's shooting 42% from 3, but also 45% from I did not realize he was shooting that poorly from, because that means that's what you're looking at there is he's shooting almost that badly, like that 45% number just from layups, and because he doesn't take that many middies.
Yeah,
that's mostly layups he's missing. And I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Yeah, I have. The visual eye test, that's right. Like, the visual eye test does give that he's been missing not like easy shots, but like shots where you're you're comfortable with him taking. Like
Yeah.
you know when he's kind of sets that and he kind of throws it up off the backboard and kind of bounces in.
Yeah.
Like the angled
push
shot.
up, yeah.
Exactly. So, but he has been missing those little like last night against the Mavs. He broke whose ankles did he break? Dinwiddie's ankles, and then he went for like a jelly lay that you would imagine like I'm fine with him taking that.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, he'll hit that, but like he missed it by like a decent bit. So, unfortunately, he's human. He's not LeBron James. He is regressing.
All right, bro.
Yeah.
I think he really is regressing.
All right,
you know,
bro.
I don't think he's regressing. I
Alright,
think
bro.
it's
okay. Regressing is an aggressive term. I think he is not. I just don't think he's okay. Ooh, I don't want to like overphrase it by like
Wait. You
recency
said,
bias.
you said he's not regressing?
not
I
by,
think he's
like-
taking a step back.
He is. I think this is
Yeah.
the worst version of him we've seen in a Warriors uniform since probably before the ankle injury. You know, we're talking about like his first 2 seasons. I think it's pretty clear. I think he.
I want to say it's his worst version because that version was not good at defense like at all. He was really weak defensively early on in his career.
That's what I said. Since you're talking about post ankle injury, like his first All-Star season in 2013.
Oh, you're saying since then?
Since after that ankle,
Okay, I think you
that's-
said okay.
like so
Sorry,
his
sorry, I
first 2
misunderstood.
seasons, he's like basically like he's kind of a nobody. Like he has this like good rookie season. People are like, oh, interesting, and then he has the ankle injury. He gets sidelined for
maybe
a long time.
fringe. Also.
Yeah, exactly. People forget about
Maybe
him.
a good 3-point shooter in the league.
And then boom, like he finally like they give him that contract, that controversial contract, right? They trade away Monte Ellis, and then all of a sudden Jesus an All-Star
Why
that
did they
season.
do that? Because mistaken franchises.
No, literally. I know. Actually, I don't know if you guys know. We were gonna trade Steph, but the Bucks didn't want him because their doctor said that his ankles are still not fully
Good
healed.
call.
I mean, literally, that doctor
Yeah, good
saved
call.
us, saved our career.
Uh,
Can you imagine Steph and Giannis?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is since like his first All-Star season. Again, this is like a stupid debate to have. Like, okay, sure, maybe not as maybe he was slightly worse than whatever, but in recent memory, especially since the MVP seasons, I think this is the worst version of him that we've seen. He looks less. How do you even put it into words? He is less able to create shots for himself than I think he's been at any point that I can really remember seeing him.
I think so, yeah. But the thing is, like, I don't know if this is like a natural regression or it's just like the amount of just the offensive load he has to take on is just like so immense that like the same Steph last year or the year before, had to take on this much of a burden, would he be playing like this? Or do you think Dennis Schroeder like kind of alleviates that and then Steph we're able to get back to the stuff we know?
I think he'll definitely start to play better with Dennis Schroeder on the team, but I think.
Last year we had.
I mean, is he going to jump back up to 28 points because Dennis Schroeder's playing next to him? You know, like
I really just
the
think-
efficiency might improve.
I
that's
really think-
more what I'm
Yeah.
about, is can the
Yeah,
efficiency-
I think his efficiency could get back up, but for points volume, I don't think so.
points I'm not really too worried about. Like I'm more like the record and his efficiency is kind of more of a better barometer of like how good are we playing. Because if he's averaging like in his best season when he averaged like 32, we were like that's when we were the 8th seed. So
I mean,
it's
but
not really
also
about-
like he was averaging 32 on like 53% and like
Yeah,
44 from the three. It was like
he deserved MVP.
that
this
was
season.
literally that.
he was
As insane as it is, like that might have been his true peak. Like that
Yeah.
might have been his genuinely his best season as a player, and we were
he carried freaking
languishing.
Kelly Oubre,
Yeah.
Alan Smiley.
Oh my God, Kelly Oubre!
Kelly
Oh
Oubre.
my God, it's like ingrained in my
Brad
brain.
Wanamaker.
Him catching the ball, looking down for to make sure he's on a 3, and then just breaking it. He just kept just looking, checking his feet are set. Boom. It's like, bro, that was so bad. Oh my
Dude,
God.
he's like Hall of Fame, like guys who think they're good 3-point shooters, but they're just like straight up not.
He kind of has like a nice.
Dude, he's
like,
so nice.
He's like,
oh, that's
in
green.
his face.
That's
everything.
green.
He's just good looking. Everything's good. Everything
Yeah.
looks good about it.
Aesthetics, dude.
The aesthetics are all there. God damn, but he was so bad for us. It was actually so disappointing. I mean, at least shout out for the
I
Sixers. He
thought
was
that was gonna
decent.
be like a franchise-changing pickup when he picked him up from the
Oubre?
Suns. Yeah,
He's gonna be franchise changing.
I
Why?
know, like
I mean, to be fair, we were in high school, so that West was
yeah,
smoking something.
yeah.
He's like hyped as hell. Let's go,
Not
Kelly.
like
Oubre.
franchise chasing, but like, oh, this
Like
guy's,
a good
second
pickup.
option.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I don't even blame you for that entirely. He was young at that time, right? Well,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you would have been like 26, 27, right?
Actually, yeah, he was kind of like his ceiling wasn't like
Yeah, I mean, he was just not like that great of a player.
yeah.
But you know, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
but
Yeah.
gone, thankfully.
yeah, exactly. But anyways, kind of.
Oh, the Sixers, right?
He's still, I think they might have resigned him actually. I don't know.
The Sixers are going through it right now.
Yeah, they are going
Jared
through it.
McCain.
Jared McCain.
It's unfortunate. I think just to kind of take a step back because this episode is quite long.
Oh yeah.
Try to
Whoa.
try to take this back and probably end it on
25
kind of
minutes.
tied in a 55.
I know.
Those are the
25
jokes. We said it's gonna be
Oh,
25
yeah,
minutes,
exactly. So let's tie it in a bow and end it. But I think I don't know where we were entirely, but positive things to come. Let's see what Schröder does on Thursday. We are going to be back consistent recording and getting episodes for you guys. Leave a like, comments down below, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.